know what? Cameraman's always doing something to surprise me. Finding something, a blast from the past, something that's coming up, something he found, something that's, you know, different. You know, maybe something that you've never seen before. So I think I'm just about to be given something here that's going to be a surprise. So I'm not real sure what I'm supposed to do yet, but do I open it up?
Look at it. Go ahead. Look at the whole thing.
Look at the whole thing? Okay. Oh my God, Mount St. Helens volcanic ash. I actually have, I don't know where, this is really funny because I was actually in the Mount St. Helens ordeal May the 18th, oh man, 1980, okay? And we were coming, my family, my wife, my mother, my grandmother, my two daughters, they were very young, where we left Everett, Washington the morning that actually blew up. We didn't know it blew up. And it was really weird because the big sliding glass doors on my grandmother's apartment, there's, you know, the door was open and she had these little sheer curtains. And all of a sudden the curtains went out of the house, went right out, went up in the air, you know, fluttered. And we're all standing there looking at it just like, okay, something's really going on here. Mount St. Helens ash. So anyway, we took off from Everett, Washington, headed for Casper, Wyoming. Actually, it took 3.5 days just to get to Billings, Montana. You know, when I've got the time, I'll tell you the whole story. But anyway, I have a bottle. It's a pint of this ash that came off of my car in May 18th, probably the 19th, the next day, 1980, Mount St. Helens. So we're going to open it up, and we're going to roll it around a little bit in there. And it's really weird how, oh my God, that is just soft. It's like talcum powder. It's like baby powder. You know, here's what's really weird. It has some odor to it, not very much. You take a mountain that's made out of rock and, you know, trees and dirt and all that stuff. It's got lava. It's got all kinds of stuff. But when it just erupts and it explodes, okay, and the heat and the volcanic eruption makes all of it just like this. It's not rocks. It's not dirt. It's not mud. It's not trees. Okay, it changes it completely into this fine powder. And I'll put it back in the bottle. So let's see. It sticks together and then you have to kind of make it come out. It's gray in color. It all goes to the same color. It pulverizes it. And this stuff was really thick, and if it gets a little bit wet, it actually turns to like clay. It gets hard. It binds up, you know. It's a memory that I'll never forget. It was an experience that, you know, just never forget it. Kids never, well, my kids were a little too young to remember it. You know, my grandmother is now dead. And that is really fine dust. And I know that's Mount St. Helens dust. It has the color. I stopped and got that dust off of my car. And I put it in a jar and took it with me. So before something actually happens to this, that's so cool. Mount St. Helens volcanic dust was used a lot, and it's still being used by the pottery, clay industry. They make little bowls, ashtrays, they make animals out of it. You mix it with a glue, you heat it, and Mount St. Helens dust, that would have been May the 18th, 1980. The dust actually blew towards the east, a little bit north, and Spirit Lake, when the mountain you know, caved off and went down into Spirit Lake, pushed Spirit Lake way up on the other side, uprooted all the trees and everything, came back down and went into Spirit Lake. So now the new Spirit Lake actually has trees with the root balls, rocks and dirt and everything else, submersed down in, standing up because the tree floated, the root ball sunk, then all the dirt came back in around it, and it'll build up and build up and build up, and the silt, and someday, if they ever dig it up, you'll have dirt with trees standing up in it, encased in silt, possibly petrified. I don't know how petrification actually happens, but anyway, heat, pressure, things like that. look at Mount St. Helens. It's really cool. The videos. I've been back there 5 times. I took a fancy to it because of what I went through when Mount St. Helens erupted, and a little sneak peek. You know, you can say what you want to. Mount St. Helens head is always in the we call it in the clouds. You know, up there, buried. You can drive up to Mount St. Helens almost any time you want to, and you get up there to the lookout and you look at Mount St. Helens. You can't see the top of Mount St. Helens because it's covered in clouds. Okay, it's just covered in clouds and you can't see it. For 3 months before Mount St. Helens erupted, it was crystal clear, blue sky, clear days. You could see the mountain perfect. They got all the cameras, all the video, you know, set up and everything. And there was, I believe it was 22,000 earthquakes that shook, and that helped gel and liquefy the side of the mountain as you shake it and shake it and shake it like that. And then that tells all of the geologists and seismograph crews, seismology, whatever you want to say, you know, that something is going to happen here. A little bit of steam vents started coming. So when the actual mountain eruption, first there was a landslide and the mountain came down off and exposed the vent where it exploded, and it blew a cubic mile off of the top of this mountain. So a cubic mile went up in the air, all right, and it kind of vaporized sort of into this dust. It did blow rocks and stuff down. Now, because I believe in God, I got to say this also. They tested the rock with their carbon-14 dating. Okay, this rock was blown out of the volcano. It was still smoking. They picked it up and they took it and tested it. It tested 14,000 years old. Now you say, okay, but that rock was 14,000 years old down in there. Carbon-14 dating doesn't actually happen until oxygen touches the molten lava, okay, and that's when it actually collects the carbon out of the air and everything. Okay, it tested 14,000 years old. I personally don't put an awful lot of faith in carbon-14 dating. But, you know, look it up, check into it, watch the videos. It was fun. It was interesting. It was hard. My kids were in the back of my station wagon. They didn't have much on. They were girls, okay. Didn't have much on. It was so hot in the car you couldn't hardly breathe. You couldn't roll the windows down, couldn't run the air conditioning. When a vehicle would go past us on the road, this gigantic cloud of dust would go up. You pull over the side of the road as fast as you can. You can't see. You shut the car off. Don't suck that dust into the air cleaner. You wait, and guess what? If somebody else comes flying by, usually the jackasses and big lifted up trucks, okay, you just got to shut the car off, go over and wait. When it's about 90 degrees, 95 degrees ambient temperature outside, inside that vehicle was hot. I mean really hot. My grandma was 75. She was a trooper. My kids did okay. My mom had emphysema real bad, so her lungs weren't doing really good. And I just had the pressure of how's this all going to turn out, you know. So Mount St. Helens dust. This is pretty cool. Thanks, cameraman. And just brings back memories. And so, did I live through it? Yeah, I lived through it. This is Brad, sharpensbest.com. Check out our videos. Catch a little bit of the history that I went through. Mount St. Helens. Take care. Have a good day.